The governor of the great state of Texas, Greg Abbott. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to all three of you.
It's great to have you. You know, when we were down at the Super Bowl, we were talking about how in one of your counties in Texas, one of the sheriffs there saying they're not going to cooperate with the federal government regarding sanctuary cities. Bring us up to date on what's the latest with that situation.
Well, the latest is because that sheriff has now adopted a sanctuary city policy. As governor, I defunded government grants to that city to the tune of $1.5 million. But that's just the starter. We now have passed out of the Texas Senate what's called Senate Bill 4. What Senate Bill 4 does is to impose real penalties for sheriffs in counties like this. It has fines that could add up to about $9 million a year. It adds real penalties, including the possibility of criminal penalties for public officials who adopt sanctuary city policies. This is passed out of the Senate. We look to have it passed out of the House. I will be signing an anti-sanctuary city law into law in the state of Texas here in the coming months. Texas is going to come down hard on any city, any county, any public official that adopts a sanctuary city policy.
Governor, are you suggesting that the sheriff of that county in Texas could actually be arrested?
Yes. Under this new law, if you have a public official, including a sheriff, who continues to adopt sanctuary city policies after this ban goes into place, they could be criminally prosecuted and themselves wind up in jail, the place where they are releasing dangerous criminals from.
Yep, don't mess with Texas.
Yeah, but you know what, you're so passionate about this, Governor, because you see this every day. You see this firsthand. What message do you have to President Trump and lawmakers and people around the country that may not be on board with more immigration reform and building the wall? I mean, you, as I said, you see this in your state every single day.
We need to see the consequence of what this sheriff in Travis County did. She has, in this month alone, in February, she has released about 50 criminals from her jail, including a criminal who is charged with sexually assaulting a woman, including a criminal who sexually assaulted a child, and that putting them back out on the streets where they can commit more crimes. This is dangerous, and I will not allow it as governor of Texas. So here's what we need from the Trump administration. Okay. The Trump administration has articulated exactly what needs to be done. Now what we have a need for speed. We need Congress to fund this, so the Trump administration is going to be able to rapidly deploy the resources that he's promised to dedicate to the state of Texas.
So you're talking about funding for ICE agents or border control agents or the wall itself. You're saying, hey, these executive orders are fantastic. They set the right priority. Leadership is being shown, but ultimately you got to fund it. And that's been a problem of the wall in the past as well, and of making sure our law enforcement officers are supported.
Exactly right. A plan accomplishes nothing. It has to have the funding that goes with it to have the plan executed. And we all know the way that the funding mechanisms work. It takes a little bit of time for this to get into place. They need to go out and hire these people, train these people, get them into place. While all this is happening, we continue to have people coming across the border illegally. And remember this, the #1 place in the United States where people are coming across the border illegally is in the state of Texas. Also, let me make one quick point here, and that is, I was reading a story last night about a local constable in the Rio Grande Valley in Hidalgo County pointing out that a lot of the people who are coming across the border, they're not from Mexico. He says it's common to see people coming in from China and obviously from Central America. These are people coming in from across the entire world. People need to understand the magnitude of the problems that we're facing.
Sure. And I know that our Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, is meeting with Mexican officials today, along with the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security. And not surprisingly, Governor, apparently the country of Mexico says that they're not going to accept the new executive orders via Donald Trump. And in fact, they may actually go to the United Nations to complain about how we are treating people who are in this country illegally.
So slightly different than that. Let me narrow this down. What Mexico is talking about that you were referring to is the notion of what the president suggested, and that is that the U.S. would deport to Mexico everyone that had come across the border, not just citizens from Mexico, but citizens from around the world, that Texas would be sending them back to Mexico. That is what Mexico was pushing back against. That's why Secretary Tillerson is down there to try to work out the issues about that. Bottom line, though, is that we won't have these issues at all if the United States begins to step up and finally do its responsibility, protect our sovereignty, and secure the border.
Governor, you see it every single day. You know what you're talking about. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much.